What I go over is kind of an interesting demonstration of how you can extend tools in Smalltalk. What I'm going to do is bring up an inspector, and I'm going to just inspect this point 3 of 4. And what I'm going to do here is type in some code over here. There's a method implemented on point called R, which happens to give you back the receiver's radius in the polar coordinate system. Not entirely exciting, but if I go in here and do this, you'll notice there's a new option here called Add Field. What it allows me to do is add a logical field to an inspector view, and I can add it at any point in the hierarchy. I can say, well, I'd like that for all objects. In this case, that wouldn't make sense. Let's just say keep it in point. Let's not put it in any particular package so it's easy to unload if we decide that we just want to kill this image. I hit Add. Now I can go there and select radius. And also, I can do things a little more interestingly. I can come in here and say, let me add hash. Add that as a field. And I'll say, you know, hash everything knows how to hash, so I'll add that up to object. Now I have this there, the hash of this point, but I can also come in and take a string, inspect that, and if I go over to the basic tab, you notice that this new field hash is available there as well. So this is kind of an interesting extensibility thing, and it's not just something you can do with basic objects. This happens to be a development image for bottom feeder, so I'll bring that up. And inside bottom feeder, I can bring up an inspector right inside this. And I am going to go and grab all of the feeds. Then I'm going to drill down to one of them. And you notice this guy already understands this additional field hash. Let's go ahead and send him a more interesting message from the standpoint of feeds. Has parsing errors. And this just happens to be an API that RSS feeds in this system understand. I'll say let's add that as a field. And again, we'll keep this an RSS feed because it makes no sense to have it anywhere else. And now any feed I want to get into, I can jump back here, go in here, and check right there. Nice thing about this is it means I don't have to jump down here and start typing code and doing printits. I can just look right here. Now again, this isn't a feature that's part of the shipping product, and I don't know what the schedule is or isn't for putting this in the product, but it's a nice case of a spike of development that some of our engineers have done to make their lives easier that may well fall into the product at some point. Anyway, it's an interesting little experiment, and the other thing that's kind of cool about this is you can see how this is implemented. If I go in here, I can hit definition. And the definition shows me that in class RSS field I've added this new method called inspector has parsing errors field, and here's the code right there in the block that makes up the result value. So I can browse this, I can modify it. It's not deep magic, it's just code in the system. And if I blow this away and then go back to the inspector and hit refresh, away it goes. So you can add these things dynamically, you can remove them dynamically. It's just an interesting development feature that I think would be kind of cool to have in the product. And I'll definitely start using this feature that the engineers have implemented for their own purpose and probably tell them that it ought to be part of the product.